ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते तदस्मृति नामिने विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine. So we are continuing the book Prabupada Lilamrita. Currently we are in the chapter 19. They ate with the right hand, Indian style. Keith and Howard had already learned this and had even tasted similar dishes. But as they told the Swami and a room full of believers, the food in India had never been this good. One boy, Stanley, was quite young, and uh, Prabhupada, almost like a doting father, watched over him as he ate. Stanley's mother had personally met Prabhupada and said that only if he took personal care of her son would she allow him to live in the monastery. Prabhupada complied. He diligently encouraged the boy until Stanley gradually took on a voracious appetite and began consuming 10 chapatis at a sitting, and would have taken more had Swamiji not told him to stop. But aside from Swamiji's limiting Stanley to 10 chapatis, the word was always more, take more. When Prabhupada was finished, he would rise and leave the room. Keith would catch a couple of volunteers to help him clean, and the others would leave. Occasionally, on a Sunday, Prabhupada himself would cook a feast with special Indian dishes. Steve, Swamiji personally cooked the prasadam and then served it to us upstairs in this front room. We all sat in rows, and I remember him walking up and down in between the rows of boys, passing before us with his bare feet and serving us with a spoon from a different pots. He would ask, "What did we want? Did we want more of this?" And he would serve us with pleasure. These dishes were not ordinary, with sweets and savories like sweet rice and kachoris with special tastes. Even after we had all taken a full plate, he would come back and ask us to take more. Once he came up to me and asked what I would like more of. Would I like some more sweet rice? In my early misconception of spiritual life, I thought I should deny myself what I liked best. So I asked for some more plain rice, but even that plain rice was fancy yellow rice with fried cheese balls. On off nights, his apartment was quiet. He might remain alone for the whole evening, typing and translating Srimad Bhagavatam or talking in a relaxed atmosphere to just one or two guests. Until then, but on meeting nights, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, there was activity in every room of his apartment. He was not alone anymore. His new followers were helping him, and they shared in his spirit of trying to get people to chant Hare Krishna and hear of Krishna consciousness. In the back room, he worked on his translation of the Bhagavatam or spoke with guests up until 6. When he would go to take his bath, sometimes he would have to wait until the bathroom was free. He had introduced his young followers to the practice of taking 2 baths a day, and now he was sometimes inconvenienced by having to share his bathroom. After his bath, he would come into the front room where his assembled followers would sit around him. He would sit on a mat facing his picture of Panchatattva, and after putting a few drops of water in his left palm from a small metal spoon and bowl, he would rub a lump of Vrindavana clay in the water, making a wet paste. He would then apply the clay markings of Vaishnava Tilaka, dipping into the yellowish paste in his left hand with the ring finger of his right. He would scrape wet from his palm, and while looking into a small mirror which he held deftly between the thumb and pinky of his left hand, he would mark a vertical clay strip up his forehead and then trim the clay into two parallel lines by placing the little finger of his right hand between his eyebrows and running it upward past the airline, clearing a path in the still moist clay. Then he marked 11 other places on his body, while the boys sat observing, sometimes asking questions, or sometimes speaking their own understandings of Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada, my Guru Maharaj used to put on tilaka without a mirror. Devotee, did it come out neat? Prabhupada, neat or not, that does not matter. Yes, it was also neat. Prabhupada, would then silently recite the Gayatri mantra, holding his Brahmana's sacred thread and looping it around his right thumb. He would sit erect, silently moving his lips. His bare shoulders and arms were quite thin, as was his chest, but he had a round, slightly protruding belly. His complexion was as satiny smooth as a young boy's, except for his face, which bore signs of age. The movements of his hands were methodical, aristocratic, yet delicate. He picked up two brass bells in his left hand and began ringing them, then lighting two sticks of incense from a candle near the picture of Lord Chaitanya and his associates. He began waving the incense slowly in small circles before Lord Chaitanya. While still ringing the bells, he took deeply at the picture and continued cutting spirals of fragrant smoke. All the while ringing the bell, none of the boys knew what he was doing, although he did it every evening, but it was a ceremony. It meant something. The boys began to call the ceremony bells. After bells, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, it would usually be time for the evening kirtan. Some of the devotees would already be upstairs, downstairs, greeting guests and explaining about the Swami and the chanting. But without the Swami, nothing could begin. No one knew how to sing or drum, and no one dared think of leading the mantra chanting without him. Only when he entered at 7 o'clock could they begin. Freshly showered and dressed in his clean Indian hand-woven cloth, his arms and body decorated with the arrow-like Vaishnava markings, Prabhupada would leave his apartment and go downstairs to face another ecstatic opportunity to glorify Krishna. The tiny temple would be crowded with wild, unbrahminical, candid young Americans. Dawn was a test of Swamiji's tolerance. He had lived in the storefront for months, working little and not trying to change his habits. He had a remarkable speech affectation. Instead of talking, he enunciated his words as if he were reciting them from a book, and he never used contractions. It was not that he was intellectual, just that somehow he had developed a plan to abolish his natural dialect. Don't speech struck people as bizarre, like it might be the result of too many drugs. It gave him the air of being not an ordinary being, and he continuously took marijuana even after Swamiji had asked those who lived with him not to. Sometimes during the day, his girlfriend would join him in the storefront and they would sit together talking intimately and sometimes kissing. But he liked the Swami. He even gave some money once. He liked living in the storefront and Swamiji did not complain. But others did. One day, an interested newcomer dropped by the storefront and found Don alone, surrounded by a sharp aroma of marijuana. You've been smoking pot, but the Swami does not want anyone smoking here. Don denied it. I have not even smoking. You are not speaking the truth. The boy then reached in Don's shirt pocket and pulled out a joint, and Don hit him in the face. Several of the boys found out. They were not sure what was right. What would the Swami do? What do you do if someone smokes pot? Even though a devotee was not supposed to, could it be allowed sometimes? They put the matter before Swamiji. So I will stop it here. So as a summary, we have seen this section that Prabhupada was doing all his activities. Like, technically, it's a chanting, then wake up, taking bath, having tilak, then chanting, and our arati activities. Initially, these disciples, these young students who were following the Prabhupada, they are not able to understand. They are just observing the things. But Prabhupada set an example that these are the important activities we need to do daily. So that's the summary. That's the theme of the section that it is covering. That we need to do these activities on a daily basis. And the next section is talk about one of the tolerance thing. We need to take it from here. So one of the person who is taking the drugs, he came and he hit at the remaining students, but Prabhupada did not deny, Prabhupada did not told anything to him. Still, he gave the lot of chance. In fact, it's a mercy to him to that he gonna change. So maybe in tomorrow section we can see the remaining thing and follow up. So what will happen to that person and how the Prabhupada gave the time and tolerance to him, mercy to him, so that the things might change. So in that context, uh, we need to be tolerant, and we can see that how Prabhupada uh, tolerantly gave the mercy to each and everyone who those are unqualified at all. So I will stop it here and I will continue the chanting.